welcome to my channel. Today I have two farmhouse style DIYs. I'll be showing you how I transformed two books from Dollar Tree and also how I created my own coasters. If you guys want to see these DIYs, then just keep watching. The first DIY for today are these numbered wooden coasters, and for this project I'll be using a 4-pack of unfinished wooden circles from Hobby Lobby, wooden numbers from Dollar Tree, Minwax polyacrylic, a sponge brush, Waverly chalk paint in the color Truffle and also in the color Ivory, paintbrushes, and my hot glue gun. To start out, I'm painting all 4 of my wooden circles and my chalk paint in the color Ivory, and I did have to do 2 coats of this paint. Once my paint has completely dried, I'm then taking my paint in the color Truffle and I'm dry brushing that over top of all of the wooden circles. I'm using most of the paint that's on my brush on the raised edges and then using what's ever left over on the very top. Once I have my circles all painted, I'm then going to be taking my wooden numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'm going to be using those to trace around right in the center of each of my circle. I'm just using a regular ink pen here to do all of my tracing. I'm making sure to hold each number down really tight against the coaster so that it doesn't move around because I don't want to mess up the paint job that I just did. After I have all of my numbers traced on, I'm then taking my paint in the color Truffle and I'm painting that right inside of where I just traced all of my numbers. And I did only have to do 1 coat of this paint. After my paint has dried on all of my numbers, I'm then taking my paint in the color Ivory once again and I'm dry brushing that over top of all of the numbers to give them a distressed look. Once I have all of my dry brushing completed, I'm then taking some Minwax polyacrylic and my sponge brush and I'm applying it over top of all of the coasters. Since these are wood and there's going to be moisture since they're coasters, I wanted to make sure that they were sealed, and I did do 2 coats of this just to make sure that everything was sealed really nicely. And these are the finished coasters. I just love how they turned out and they were so inexpensive to make. Let's go ahead and move on to DIY number 2, which are these decorative farmhouse style books. For this project, I'll be using 2 books from Dollar Tree, burlap fabric, fabric from a Hobby Lobby placemat, Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster, a paintbrush, lace ribbon from Dollar Tree, scissors, and my hot glue gun. To start out, I'm taking off the paper covers from both of the books. I'm then painting both of my books in my chalk paint in the color Plaster, and I did have to do 2 coats of this paint. I'm painting on all sides of the books as well as on the outer edges and then on the inside of my book covers as well. Once my paint has completely dried, I'm then taking my burlap fabric and wrapping it around my book to measure where I'm going to want to place it later on, and then I'm just cutting off any extra fabric that I'm not going to be using. Once again, I'm measuring my fabric around my book, only this time it's on the top part, and then cutting off any of the extra fabric. I'm then placing my book in the center of my cut piece of burlap, and then I'm taking some hot glue and placing it right onto the burlap itself, and then I'm going to be pressing that onto my book to attach it. To attach the other side of the fabric, I'm placing hot glue right onto the book in strips and then pushing the burlap right onto the glue. You want to be careful because burlap is not very thick, so the hot glue might come through, so be very careful because you don't want to burn your fingers. For this end of the book, I'm making a slice right in the fabric by the binding, and then I'm placing some hot glue right onto the inner cover and then putting the fabric over top of that to attach it. I'm placing another cut along the binding and I'm trimming this edge a little bit more so it's easier for me to glue down. Once I have that all trimmed, I'm putting some hot glue right along the binding and then pushing the fabric onto the glue to attach it. To glue on my other side of my fabric, I'm placing the hot glue once again right on the inner edge of the cover and then pushing the fabric on top of the glue. Here I'm cutting and gluing down my burlap just like I did on the other side of the book. I'm doing this very quickly to show you once again, and I'm continuing this onto my second book as well. Now that I have all of my burlap attached, I'm cutting the striped fabric off of my placemat from Hobby Lobby. I already had this one at home, and you can use any kind of fabric that you want, but since I already had this, I decided to use it. Next, I'm taking my fabric from my placemat and I'm measuring it where I want it to go onto the front of my book over the burlap. And instead of cutting it to size, I decided to glue it together. I'm not sure why. I highly recommend just cutting it. That's what I did on the second book. And then I'm taking some more hot glue and I'm placing it in a strip onto the fabric and then placing the fabric on top of the glue over the burlap. And I'm continuing by putting some hot glue right on the fabric in strips and then placing the fabric over top to attach it. For the ends of my fabric, I'm placing hot glue onto the fabric and then folding it over onto the cover. For the other side of my fabric, I'm doing the exact same thing, placing hot glue onto the fabric and then folding it over onto my cover. Next, I'm taking some lace ribbon from Dollar Tree and I'm measuring it and cutting it down to size so that I can place it onto my book. I'm going to be putting lace ribbon on both sides of my striped fabric, and to attach it, I'm putting hot glue right onto the book along the edge of the striped fabric, and then I'm pressing my lace ribbon right over top of the glue. For the ends of the ribbon, I'm doing the same thing I did for the other fabric. I'm placing hot glue on the inner cover and then pressing the ribbon over top of the glue. For the second piece of ribbon, I'm continuing the same steps as I did on the first piece of ribbon. I'm measuring, cutting it down to size, and then just hot gluing it along the edge of the striped fabric. Gluing down the ends of this lace ribbon is the last step in this DIY. I had so much fun creating these books, and you can switch it up and make it fit your own home decor by switching out the paint color and changing up the fabric. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, I would love it if you would subscribe. Please hit that notification bell so that you can be notified for all of my future videos. Thank you so much for watching.